Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate. Husband!
Wife!
What the fuck are you doing tonight?
Tonight's our live, so we're on Discord.
We sure as fuck are.
And we got our fans here listening to us and commenting live. You should be here too.
You should.
There's a link in the show notes. You should go click on it now and join us on Discord next week and the week after and every week for the rest of your fucking life.
Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, live on Discord.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah. And it's, at the very least, it's a respite from the craziness that's going on in America right now.
And it helps you feel like you're not crazy and you're not out there alone, especially if you're like a blue dot in a sea of red.
Yeah.
Like we are.
Yeah, it's good times. It's good times.
Yeah.
So tonight I decided that we didn't really have a specific subject, and I was looking through the news for something to talk about, and I came across a protest that happened in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it was at the city's church on Sunday, and there was a protest because one of their pastors at that church is an organizer for ICE.
He's the leader of the ICE. Boom, boom.
Speaking of leaders of ICE, I'll get to something else later. But
oh, geez.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a protest, right? So there was like 20 minutes. It was peaceful and whatever.
So these anti-ICE people are like...
Yeah, they're like, hey, fuck you.
I really think that...
I mean, they didn't say fuck you. They're just like,
I really think that you, as a pastor, should not be involved in ICE.
Right.
It's kind of anti-Christian.
Yeah, and they came in and kind of spoke their mind for like 20 minutes, didn't threaten anybody, left when the cops showed up peacefully, no violence, no nothing, okay? Mm-hmm. So that sets the scene. And honestly, I think that this is an important thing to talk about because there's more to it. There's more to it with regard to how this breaks down, especially for secular Americans and the secular community, and just kind of it goes to the whole what's happening right now. It
goes to the whole weaponization of religion in general, Christianity in particular in America, and fits with our, why do you guys always talk about politics when you're just reading the Bible? This is why. This is why.
No, and if you've been listening to us for a while, you know that's why a large part of why we do this, because of the problems inherent in our country. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are not in our country, I apologize that you have to listen to these rants about it. But, it's becoming more and more relevant to you as well. Especially if you live in Canada.
I don't know if you've heard, but
we refer to those as future America.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but we want to rule the world, much like Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
And we're coming to a city near you.
Or a country.
We want to bomb you and own you and put not America's name, but Trump's name all over your place of living.
Yeah, he actually tweeted something out that had the American flag pasted over Canada, Greenland, Venezuela. Not tweeted, truthed. I apologize. It was hit on his social media.
Well, he re-truthed. Somebody
Right.
else had come up with that. I forget. I want to say it was Christy Nome, maybe, that had did the Greenland one.
Got it. Okay.
And then he re-truthed it.
Well, whatever. It doesn't really matter if it was on his feed. It's the president sharing something where he's showing us, taking over Canada, Greenland, Venezuela, and I'm surprised he didn't just tack on Europe there. But whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're covering the protest that happened in St. Paul, Minnesota, at the city's church on Sunday. So that's what we're about to get into.
Okay.
You ready to do this?
Sure as fuck am.
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right, so you are very interested in this topic. We are going to be discussing this ice baby.
That's right. Yeah.
Guy thing group. What happened?
No. So okay. So there's a church in St. Paul, Minnesota, and as many of you, I'm sure, we already talked about it a little bit, but you may be well aware that there was a catalyst incident that happened in Minnesota over the last few weeks, and that was the shooting of Renee Gould. Good. Sorry,
because it's ice versus good.
Right. Yeah.
Literally. That's the message right now.
And I'm just gonna say right now, it was fucking murder. Like that was bullshit.
Definitely.
And
of an American citizen.
Yeah. And so protests have definitely been happening, which I think there's good reason. Like we literally have the Gestapo in our fucking streets is what's happening, right? We have these ICE agents that are not giving a shit about your rights and stopping people randomly if you're a person of color. And now even if you're white, if you get in their way, they're going to fucking shoot you.
And if you're just standing there recording them, they will come up and take your phone and throw it down and punch you.
Right.
I mean, they don't give a fuck. And why should they?
Who's going to stop them, right? I mean,
nobody.
Fucking Trump let all the January 6ers go, so these people are getting a $40,000 sign-on bonus, and they know Trump's their president and is just going to pardon anything they do. Yep. So why should they feel scared about anything, right?
They shouldn't. They're
his little mini army that he's paying. They
have every reason to be the assholes that they always were, but now they get to enthusiastically do it out in the open.
Right. So the scene was on Sunday. There was a protest happening, and they decided to go into this anti-ICE protest happening, and it was a known thing that one of the pastors at this church was an ICE organizer, right? And the thoughts with regard to people in a church is that you're supposed to be good and help people and
a follower of Jesus.
And a follower of Jesus. Yeah, right. All these things, right?
Who's about love and forgiveness.
But no, ICE is not that.
ICE is not that.
ICE is anything but that. You're tearing apart families. You're shooting U.S. citizens in the fucking street. And
you're kidnapping people, shoving them into vans, abusing them. Doesn't even matter if they're citizens or not. You don't fucking care because you're ICE and you don't have to care. And it's very exciting to be allowed to hurt people.
And I'm sorry, but if you're a pastor at a church and you decide to become an ICE agent or an ICE organizer, your face represents your church
and ICE.
And ICE.
And those two things don't go together, friendo.
Well, that's they kind of do, though.
They're not supposed to, though.
They're
and that's where we can finally be like, aha!
Right.
Specifically you, sir, are doing this wrong.
Well, and we've talked about Christian nationalism many, many times, right? And that's kind of where I'm going with this, because it just solidifies that idea, right? We're bringing these people who are okay with tearing apart families, okay with, breaking up people just because they're people of color and people that are not like them, and yet they're Christians. And it's that juxtaposition all in just like one thing, right?
It's the I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
No, it just shows the hypocrisy of it and
the weaponization. That's what I was going to say. It's the weaponization of religion that all evil leaders always do.
Right. And they're using churches as springboards to get these people to join ICE, to be this hateful group of people, and it's known to a lot of us. It's just not known to the people that are involved in it because they're being brainwashed and they're there and they don't understand what's happening. But that's why it's important, I think, to bring that protest to the church, right? Make them face what they're doing. But so what's happening now? There's been a lot of pushback on this protest, and the Department of Justice is actually investigating the protesters under the FACE Act. Now, a lot of you probably aren't familiar with the FACE Act. I know I wasn't before I started researching this.
I never even heard of it. What's the FACE Act?
So the FACE Act is a 1994 federal law that makes it a crime to use force, threats, or physical obstruction to block or intimidate people seeking or providing reproductive health services or to damage facilities where such services are offered, including places of worship. It establishes federal criminal penalties and civil remedies for such actions, aiming to ensure safe access to healthcare and religious sites.
Oh, so is it the law that makes protesters at abortion clinics have to be so far away?
Yes, but the implementation of this law has been used more for the safeguarding of churches than it has been for protecting people that are protesting, than protecting people that work at abortion clinics overall. Like, mostly it's been used as a protection for churches and basically saying, you can't interrupt service here because it's protected by this act.
Which would be fine if it also went the other way and protected abortion clinics and other more secular things that were not necessarily in line with Christian views, but were things that were in the public interest.
Like many laws, I think the law was well-intentioned, right? We don't want people dying because they are working at an abortion clinic. We don't want people dying because they
are visiting an abortion clinic.
They're visiting an abortion clinic, or because their religious views are different from some other groups' religious views with regard to,
for example, Jewish or
health.
Muslim or whatever.
Right? It makes sense. But as many laws, it gets bastardized and used for different purposes than it was originally intended.
Of course.
And that's where we are with this. So it's being used to...
It's part of the paper coup.
Possibly indict the people that were protesting for this 20-minute peaceful protest that they did in this church. And I'm sorry, but I feel like this was an important protest statement to make. It should have never made national news, but it's an important thing. I'm not saying never. Like, I think that the protests overall should make national news, but like this specific small protest that lasted 20 minutes in a church in St. Paul. I think
maybe what should have made the news is the fact that a pastor is affiliated with ICE, not the fact that...
Yeah, no, that's what we should be talking about here, right? Not the fact that these people protested it. And I'm sorry, but like they get really bent out of shape over the fact that churches give sanctuary to immigrants, and yet they're asking for sanctuary from protesters?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you very much.
Fuck you all the way.
That ICE agent would have totally gone into a Catholic church that was harboring immigrants and been fine with it.
Or a Muslim church if that was the flavor of the day.
Right. But no, somebody came into their church, right?
Yeah.
To protest the fact that he might do that thing.
Right.
And now they're going to press federal charges against these fucking people. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
that's crazy.
I have mixed feelings on it because I get what you're saying, but it's kind of like at where I work, I'm not supposed to wear earbuds. Like, nobody is supposed to wear earbuds, but I do a lot of work all by myself.
Yeah.
And with, like, no other coworkers, no customers, no boss or staff or anything. So I do keep one earbud in and listen to audiobooks. But if I ever got busted for it, like, it would be correct to bust me for that.
Sure.
Even though it's stupid.
Right.
Like, I would not feel like I was in a position to argue that but that rule shouldn't apply to me because XYZ.
No, but it's like this is like if that rule was only applied to people of color.
No,
right?
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
they're basically choosing who they apply these laws to. So they're choosing how to interpret all this stuff based on their very Christian nationalist viewpoints.
Right.
Right. Our government on down to the church leaders who cried foul at this protest and went so far as to press charges. Like, come on, this is crazy.
Right.
So the church's side of this is that pastors called the protest a spiritual attack, which is evangelical for they were disagreed with.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we should back up a second and maybe do a definition of Christian nationalism, because that's what we're dealing with. And
think Nazi Christians.
Well, I don't know. There's
essentially.
Yeah, but there's the definition of it, and then there's how it is actually. Because the definition, according to Wikipedia, which I know is not like our number one source, but it's also a good source now, so kind of fuck off.
Yeah.
Is Christian nationalism is a form of religious nationalism that focuses on promoting the Christian views of its followers in order to achieve prominence or dominance in political, cultural, and social life. In countries with a state church, Christian nationalists seek to preserve the status of a Christian state. And that, like, on paper is so tame. Like, it doesn't even sound like as dramatic as what Christian nationalism really is. Because,
well, I think it's an apt description. It just doesn't apply. It doesn't
capture the seriousness.
Well, and it doesn't really reference the fact that this country is supposed to have separation of church and state.
Right.
Right. So, like, that's the overall definition, right? But the United States is supposed to be a secular nation with regard to our politics, and that's how we've been operating for almost 100 years now.
Right.
So,
but if you ask people like my parents about Christian nationalism, they wouldn't see anything wrong with it, because of course you should put God first. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
God should always be put first.
Right, but then the question becomes, which God?
But not for them. For them, there is only one
and
God.
what if you don't have a God? You know?
Then you should get right with God.
Right, but that's the problem. The singular thoughts about what God is, and you can break it down even further than that, because I've talked, actually, I was just talking online with an apologist the other day, and this person basically said that their God, their version of God, is the only true and correct form of God. Mm-hmm. Which means that every other denomination that exists, no matter what the denomination, if they agree even slightly with what he says, is wrong.
Well, yeah.
And they are not Christian. They're not correct Christians.
You can have 20 Christians and all 20 of them are going to hell.
Yeah, especially if you take each of their opinions.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that the accepting people for who they are phase of our country has long since passed.
Oh yeah.
And we are not in that world anymore. And so anyway, the church side, were you done with the Christian nationalist side, or did you have more to say? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just kind of wanted to mention, like, there was a time when putting up the American flag over your house kind of indicated that you were a true American, which automatically meant that you were also a Christian, which automatically meant that you were a Republican, which automatically meant that you were like all these perfect, good, true things, right? And like this was within the last 20 years, like that the American flag kind of captured all of that. And then so when we started to say in argument of that, hey, that's Christian nationalism, and can we just not maybe with that, that's where this kind of started to like come into where we are at today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the American flag is only usurped in that insofar as they're flown next to the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, or the you know what the Christian flags that get flown, or the Trump flags that get flown, or whatever.
Yeah,
that's how the American flag is pulled into that. You and I both grew up in a world where the American flag, to us at least, was more of a patriotism about our country and not about any god or anything like that.
Right.
You know, and
but that's what I'm saying. Like the flag and patriotism itself got usurped. Patriotism got stolen into this whole Christian nationalism thing. And so when we have these ICE people, like, they're like, I'm true American, you know?
They definitely think they are.
This big thing and this big
I mean, they're being told they are. They're being told by their news and by their media that they are very much on the right side of history, right? That they believe it. Their churches are telling them that they're on the right side of history.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about my parents who would put the cross right next to the American flag, and like they're almost synonymous at this point.
Right. But you were in the military, and other than allowed to go to church services on Sundays or whatever, there wasn't a lot of crossing of church in the military, was there? Not directly. Not
in my experience, but I've said before that I don't want to speak for everybody because every military installation is different.
Well, and obviously if you were in combat, all rules are out at that point too. So,
right.
I mean, that's, there are definitely times when I'm sure that is not true, but.
And I was in a non-deployable unit because I was attached to an MI unit.
But it was never anything officially sanctioned that you had to do prayer while in the military or anything like that.
Never anything like that.
Right.
I was never pressured to go to church or anything like that.
Yeah, because it's a secular institution.
Right.
It was drawn up that way.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be. Much like our schools, our secular institutions, they're not supposed to be run by churches unless it's a private establishment.
Which is why at graduations, at public schools and at community colleges that are state state colleges, when they do the prayer at graduation, why I always felt really weird about it and did not want to stand up for that or put my head down. And it was very socially awkward because even you would kind of lean over and be like, hey, you got to play along. Like,
I mean, it's just one of those things,
But I was just so offended that I wanted to say something like, I wanted to report it.
And we're, the reason that this is able to be taken advantage of partly is because we're in a state in this country where we're still working through what it means to be religious or secular and still American.
Right.
Right. Like that is something we are still working through.
Like, what does it mean to be a true American?
And we've been trying to figure it out for decades now. Mm-hmm. Right. And we've taken a turn back towards Christianity, in my opinion, at least with regard to rhetoric and the way things are happening in the government. Mm-hmm. But overall, over the last 30 years, we've been making progress away from religion until we hit this road stop, But
it's not really Christianity. What it really is to me is, and I know we're way off topic and we'll get way back on topic in just a second. To me, it's not really Christianity. To me, it's more that Reconstruction after the Civil War was never dealt with appropriately, and we need to reconstruct the Reconstruction.
I mean, there's you and I have talked about all kinds of. There needs to be a large discussion in this country about how we go forward from here. Period. Because obviously some shit's wrong.
A lot of shit's wrong, and it's about race, and it's about poverty, and it's about class, and it ain't really about religion. For the people at the bottom, it is. That's what they think it is. That's what they're being told it is.
It's really more about money than anything else.
Well, yeah.
Money, as Mark Twain said, is the root of all evil. So,
well, yeah.
And it really has shown its ugly face, recently.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Continue.
Got it. So, again, the church's side is that it was a spiritual attack, which is a spiritual attack, and that Christian media has spun this as anti-Christian persecution.
Persecution?
Yeah.
It's not like they were beat and thrown into cages. And
I mean, worst case scenario, they were fucking embarrassed. Like there was no threats made. There was no physical threats made. There was no attack. They were there for 20 fucking minutes. I'm sorry, if your church, if your religion, if your faith can't survive 20 minutes of peaceful protesting, then maybe find another fucking religion.
I would say they were bored more than anything.
Yeah.
And annoyed. Bored and annoyed.
Yeah, they didn't damage any property. Nothing bad physically or threateningly happened during this protest. They were just they were saying what is happening and doing a protest as protesters do, Right. And the Christians in general have this idea that they're persecuted.
Well, they always think they're persecuted.
Well, they say they're persecuted, but like, you can't tell me that in the same, like 80% of our people in our government are Christians.
Right, but
over 80%.
But don't you know that they're persecuted though?
Right. Let's see. We are instituting like Bibles into schools.
But they should have always been there in the first place. And the fact that they're not all in all the classrooms, that's persecution.
Right. 65 to 70. It's like, I think it's like 65 to 70% of Americans are Christian.
Yeah, but
so I'm not really sure how you persecute the majority of people.
I don't think you understand what these people, like, they literally cannot be logicked with. No,
I know. And it's again, this is more of the brainwashing. It's more of that mantra that they're hearing from their news sources and from their peers, how they just can't say how they aren't allowed to talk about how they're Christian out in public, because some people that aren't Christian don't want to fucking hear it all the time.
It's the war on Christmas. It's the...
God forbid we say happy holidays.
You said happy holidays, and that means that you want me to say happy holidays, and that is persecuting me.
Right.
I had to hear you be inclusive, and that's fucked up.
Right.
And that's mean of you.
Yeah. And all these people were doing, they walked into a place that preaches compassion, hypothetically, that's employing someone who is enforcing cruelty. Mm-hmm. And they said, and instead of accepting the dialogue and having a dialogue about it, they called the fucking feds.
Of course they did.
Right.
Because they're fucking babies.
Yeah. They don't have any accountability for their actions. They don't want to take accountability for it. And
okay, but let's also be fair. The people that were in that church could easily have been my parents, and they literally don't know what's going on. Let me give you an example of how I know this to be true. On one of those like neighborhood apps, like Good Neighbor or Nextdoor or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm on a couple of them here just in our little area. And somebody asked if there were going to be any ICE protests on Saturday in the Dayton area.
Yeah.
And 99% of the people that responded were saying things like, Jesus, I hope not. And why would I protest the police doing their job? Or why is anybody protesting people that are getting rid of those who come here illegally and take our jobs? Like, they literally don't know.
Right. I think your first mistake was being on the neighborhood app, but
Yeah, that's probably true. But I do like to be on there because sometimes they'll talk about like missing animals,
stuff going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I understand.
Every once in a while,
but having political discussions on there maybe isn't the. I don't know.
No, I thought that person was kind of dumb for asking.
Right.
But it did help me understand, though, that my area is as red and dumb as I thought it was.
Right. And these same Christians would go to protest drag queens when they're doing a library reading at little kids. Yeah, they would go to do that and not feel like they're invading anything. Right. And they would feel perfectly entitled to do that.
Of course. But that's because, didn't you know that drag queens are Satan?
You know what? I think that people that tear families apart and murder, innocent civilians are closer to that than what drag queens are. What they are being told, though, is entirely those people shouldn't have come here in the first place. And anyway, news of families being torn apart is exaggerated and fake news, and also paid protesters. Right. Right. I mean, I've tried to talk to my parents about this stuff. I've tried to talk to other Christians about this stuff. And this is literally what they like. It's not just that they're stupid, because some of them really are, but also they are only getting part of the story. Right. And so when you are like, they would feel perfectly justified. Of course they would, because they honestly think that drag queens are evil. Right. And that is harmful to children. And if you really thought that in your heart, you would want to do something about that. Yeah. Yeah.
And you would feel justified.
Sure. No, I understand that. I mean, and we have the right to protest. We have the right to do these things in this country. And I've never had a problem with it. But I didn't really understand until I read this article that apparently pending a federal crime, you can't apparently do that at a church.
Right.
Like that's news to me. You know, I was not aware of that. And it doesn't feel correct to me. Like the whole point of Christianity was a fucking protest.
Right.
I mean that's where Christianity essentially started, was a goddamn protest.
Right. Our country was founded on a protest. Right. Like the Boston Tea Party was a fucking protest.
You're telling me that we can't fucking protest for 20 minutes peacefully in a fucking church.
Well,
you're telling me that that's federally illegal.
It is.
That's just nuts to me.
No, what's nuts is that it's not nuts that that's illegal. It's nuts that it is being, that law is being enforced when it so often isn't enforced otherwise.
Right.
That's the nuts part.
Yeah.
A law being enforced correctly is not insane. A law being enforced willy-nilly and only when it's convenient, that's insane.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, look, the evangelical movement has morphed into more of a nationalistic cult that confuses persecution with privilege. Mm-hmm. Their theology isn't about saving souls. It's about saving the white Christian dominance. Mm-hmm. And from Florida to Texas to all across the fucking country, churches are grooming the next generation of Christian nationalists under the guise of patriotism, right? Well, yeah. And we're just furthering this every time these things happen by, like, the news media just accepts these things as what they're like. The church says this is bad, and our government says it's bad, so it must be bad. And I'm like, no, it's not fucking, like, we should be standing up and saying, you guys are not doing this right. Because they're not doing it right.
At this point, it is more the media's fault than anybody else's.
Right.
Because the media is what's feeding this whole divide. You know, when things like Fox News is only showing part of the story mm-hmm. and clipping out the relevant bits and distorting the story, they're responsible for what is happening right now. They know better. Like, you can't even blame the people at that church anymore. Right. Because why shouldn't they think what they think? That's what they were fucking told.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you know, if Jesus came back today, he'd be detained at the border while ICE pastors prayed for the strength to deport him faster.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Like this is where we're at with this whole bullshit.
Yeah. But that's because there's a lot of Christians that don't realize that Jesus is from the Middle East. He wasn't white. He was Jewish. He wasn't a Christian because Christianity didn't exist before Jesus. Right.
But and okay, so one of these other things that concerns me is the increasing involvement in politics that churches have too. Right? They will support specific candidates and specific, like, they've always, like, they've been against, like, abortion or things like that in the past, but now they literally endorse candidates, and there's no repercussions for them.
The law being willy-nilly applied.
Well, the IRS has literally been told not to enforce the laws that would take away their tax-exempt status for doing such things, mm-hmm. which is a law that should be enforced, in my opinion, but
obviously
it's not being enforced, right?
And who do you call? You like 911? I'd like to report a fucking crime that nobody's doing anything about. That's right in front of us. Like, I'm looking at a fucking billboard across the street. You know, hello, help.
Yeah, and so I mean, like, we should be having a discussion, in my opinion, instead of about prosecuting people for 20 minutes of peaceful protest. We should be discussing, should, you know, churches lose their tax-exempt status for employing mm-hmm. federal ICE agents.
They should,
as one of their pastors.
Absolutely,
right?
100%.
Talk about crossing the fucking line with politics, right?
Yeah.
And
I guess my question would be, are there cases against this guy? Like, is the Freedom from Religion Foundation, for example, I know they take on a lot of this kind of litigation stuff. Are they stepping in and getting involved?
No, I don't know.
Who knows, right? Like, there's so much going on right now. Oh, God. I can only imagine that they're buried under paperwork at the moment.
And you could argue, in my opinion, that, you know, doing this protest was a moral imperative.
Oh, definitely.
You know, like that we had to do this because of the intermingling of politics and Christian and right leaning Christianity. Right? Totally. And I feel like this was very much in line with what needs to be happening, as opposed to a grievance against that happening. Right. Like, I
would say you do this protest knowing that you're going to get arrested, though. Like, I think it would be foolish for anybody who did that to walk out surprised that the feds are now coming after them.
I don't know. I might walk out surprised, honestly. I would not expect to be arrested for doing a peaceful protest for 20 minutes in a church.
I would absolutely
not until yesterday.
Not have been shocked over that.
Well,
because that tracks. That 100% tracks.
I'm not shocked in the aftermath of it. Like, it doesn't surprise me that it's happening, but I wouldn't have gone in there thinking I'm going to get arrested for doing this. How's that? That's the difference, I guess.
I guess, like, I don't know, because when all of those protests were happening in Portland, like, what, 2 years ago now? 3 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Very recent,
right.
Anyways.
Recent-ish history, yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about, like, hey, these protests are spreading. They're going to spread. They're going to become more and more important. They're going to be coming to our area. Like, I was seriously talking about getting protest gear.
Hold on a second. Trump's only been back in office for like a year. He just did his 365 recap, so it was like a year ago.
The ones in Portland?
The Portland, yeah. It would have had to have been a year because it wasn't the last term. It was this term.
Okay.
Right?
I honestly...
because I remember all the fire and
time
like
is
the
so
PR.
Confusing now.
Right. It feels like a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, but it was just a year ago.
But I know Robert Evans was covering it. No, it was more than a year ago. It had to be...
During Biden's term?
No, it had to be during his first term then.
Okay. Yeah, that might be right. Okay.
It had to be during his first term.
All
so
right.
then that would have been like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if it happened this time, then that's...
No.
Sorry. Okay. Continue.
No, at any rate.
Yeah.
So, okay, 5 or 6 years, not 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So I just remember I was talking about the fact that these protests are going to be picking up steam and moving outside of Portland, hitting other cities. And I remember talking to you saying, I felt really compelled to be part of the protests when they came to areas that I was going to be able to travel to easily. Yeah. And I talked to you about maybe getting protest gear for safety, and that we weren't really sure like that was quite necessary yet, blah, blah, blah. Right. Sure. Fast forward a few years, and now I've gone to several protests in the Dayton area.
Right.
And I haven't gotten protest safety gear yet, but like...
That's not entirely true. You brought glasses with you and stuff like that.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right. I did.
And you do bring masks with you and stuff like that.
Yeah, we brought masks. Not like gas masks.
We don't have Kevlar yet.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't gone above and beyond ordering special gear.
Sure.
But I did take precautions like writing... phone number on arm and a Sharpie, and laminating important numbers of immediate contacts to keep in my wallet to call if I got arrested.
Not taking your phone with you, I believe, was
not taking my phone with me, but just having contact information laminated.
Right.
So my point is, though, and Kid went with me as well. Kid is an adult, just so that, I wasn't taking a minor.
Right.
But Kid and I went to these with the understanding that we might get arrested. Sure. Things might happen. Yeah. So if I was going to go to a regular protest at a regular just on the street rally kind of thing and expect that I might get arrested, I would 110% expect that, I'm definitely going to be in trouble if I protest inside a church.
Sure.
That's where my mind is at, because I've already been going to protests and unfortunately you've worked and not been able to attend.
Right.
So maybe if you had been in those in that frame of mind where you were like already attending protests, you would already
It's not
be
so
there.
much the protesting part of it that I just assumed that it was not a federal crime, I guess. I didn't know that it was a federal crime. That part kind of threw me for a loop.
Got it.
And I think they're stretching it to make it a federal crime.
Oh, sure.
Which obviously we're in a world where we stretch laws to fit whatever our new government wants us to make it be. So that's not completely unheard of, but here we are, right?
I guess at this point, like, just always expect that not only will you be arrested, but that you could be arrested even harder than you thought, and that it might be even worse than you anticipated. And if you're a person of color or some other obvious, quote unquote, not norm,
right,
like as in white Christian male,
right,
you should expect the worst kind of treatment.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen to you or anybody near you, yay, that's good, yay. But like, if you go to a protest of any sort at this point, you should weigh those consequences, and you should be prepared for those consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And look up resources about, I think everybody should be familiar with, what your rights are with regard to being approached by ICE agents, what your rights are at a protest, especially locally, because I know that there are states where literally you could be run over and it would be legal as a protester. I think Oklahoma is one of those states. So please be
Virginia
aware
is
for
one of
your
them.
own safety what local and federal and state laws are.
And that's
for
the thing.
your
It
event.
is going to be local, state, and federal. There's
Right.
going to be different laws depending on where you are, what kind of protest it is, and where you're going.
Yeah, but I do want to highly encourage people to get involved in protesting and not let this fizzle out silently, and not let this pass silently,
Right.
because we can't. That this is the end of our democracy if we let this stand.
Mm-hmm.
These things that are happening are absolutely beyond the pale.
Yeah. I've heard that Trump has said that he is working to try to foment more of this discord
Yeah.
across more states between now and the midterms.
Well, he really wants to institute the Insurrection Act.
He does. And he has specifically said that. And then we watched an interview with somebody who worked in the first Trump administration. Apparently, he was trying to get it written into one of his speeches. He wanted to declare the Insurrection Act. Like, basically, we were like 5 seconds away from him declaring it during his first administration.
Right.
And I'm like, why was this not bigger news at the time?
No, he was going to do it. The interview was about, I'm sure you guys remember maybe you don't remember, but if you don't, there was a big caravan of immigrants coming up from
quote unquote caravan.
Mexico and through South America.
Remember the big caravan invasion?
They got like so much news coverage.
They were
right?
using the words invasion.
They were using the word
force.
invasion. And he was going to use that as a
reason.
As a reason for the Insurrection Act. Because an invasion of our country is reason enough to invoke the Insurrection Act. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason he wants it is because he thinks it's an open ticket to do whatever he wants. Basically lets him be dictator.
It also, in his mind, lets him stay in office.
Yeah.
So he is using language to foment discord, and he is on purpose creating discord and violence that is spreading so that he can then cancel the midterm elections. That is something he has specifically said he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And from there to use the Insurrection Act. And
let's not forget, part of the reason that he's doing this is that we forget about the fact that he is more than likely a pedophile. And
he is in the Epstein
list,
files.
Allegedly. Well, no, he is in the Epstein files.
No, he is in the Epstein files.
But, let's just say that there's guilt there, allegedly.
I would say that this is a big distraction from the Epstein files, whatever might else be in there.
You've noticed that since the Epstein files were beginning to be released, we have escalated
in
and
violence.
escalated. I mean, just every fucking week gets worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And he's literally burying the Epstein files with all this shit.
He's burying his activities, whatever, in the Epstein files under potential civil war and potential World War III.
Yeah.
Because that's how important it is to him to keep this shit hidden.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because that
Civil War
should have been the end of his fucking
World War III
should have been the end of his presidency.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Epstein files should have been the end of his presidency.
Should have. I mean, the grab him by the pussy thing early on with Billy Bush should have been the end, but everything after that.
But there's literally a file in there that talks about, like, Donald Trump is in this file.
Yeah.
Where they talks about him. Somebody. Okay, look, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit. So, but this is actually a file in the Epstein files where there is a 13-year-old, and granted, this is testimony from her.
But it is her testimony.
Her testimony is that her uncle got her involved in this thing or whatever, and she had a baby
from Trump.
It doesn't specifically say that. There was blacked out things in there. So allegedly,
Trump got a 13-year-old pregnant.
Right now, but she did testify that the baby got dumped in Lake Michigan.
Yeah,
that is in the fucking Epstein files. And like, I have the link in my phone right now to the document on our government website that has this fucking file on there. And why aren't we talking about this? We're not talking about this because we're literally about to have a civil war and go to war with every fucking country on the planet.
Right.
This is fucking crazy.
And what's really killing me is that this is not being talked about on the news at all. It's only like people on TikTok and shit like that have the time to actually read what has been released.
Yeah.
And they're putting it out in clips. Right. And so our kid is like, did you know about this?
Right.
And we're like, what? Nuh-uh, that's got to be fake because that's way too, like...
It's way too juicy, right?
It's way too juicy and it's way too, like, no way. That tracks...
Who the fuck could politically survive that?
Right?
Trump, apparently.
Trump. They sent us the link. We looked it up. We looked it up elsewhere. And we're like, holy fuck. This must have just come out. No, I was already a few days old by then. Yeah. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And nope, I've still, to this day, this happened several weeks ago.
I feel like...
I want to say this was like a month ago we heard this from Kid.
Yeah.
And we have still not heard about it even once.
Right.
On the news. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. But... hopefully, maybe we're holding back the worst until midterms to like talk about it then, so we can fight his worst, and we'll just meet together with all of our worst, and then we can all get our guns out and have a good old party. It's just feels like where everything's heading, doesn't it?
I like my basement.
But to be clear, not suggesting anybody commit any violence here.
Jesus Christ, no.
Like the opposite of that.
Opposite. No violence,
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful
lay down
protest.
on the street. Get yourself fucking arrested. Whatever it takes. But let's not start the fucking war.
Just because bricks are laid out on the corner by the people on the right trying to foment violence doesn't mean you got to pick them up.
Yeah. And then just to recap here. So basically what we talked about today, it was a pastor working for ICE, got protested. The church cried persecution. The government rushed to defend the church. Meanwhile, immigrant families are still being torn apart, and Christians think that they're under attack. And maybe, if your religion keeps needing state protection to survive criticism, it's not faith. It's just better media coverage. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
I don't know that that's necessarily true, because there are countries where religious freedom isn't a thing, and they do need protection from the state.
No, absolutely. But when we've got 70%, 65-70% Christian in this country, they don't need protection from the fucking state.
No, it's true.
And their persecution complex is completely just made up.
I mean, what I always compare it to is like Christians own the billboard in town, the only billboard, right? And you're begging, can I just put up this little notice in the corner? And they cry persecution because you want to put up your little lost dog thing in the corner of their fucking, and they're like, but we want to own the whole one.
Right.
We want the whole billboard. God damn you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I always compare it to, because that's the way it feels.
Sure.
And you should be glad that we even let you come in here and talk about it. Ugh.
Well, yeah.
Or it's like the narcissism complex. Like, similarly, my ex and I would argue about what temperature to keep the AC at. I preferred it at 68. He liked it at 72. Obviously, the compromise would have been 70, right? And we're both a little miserable, but we're also both not as uncomfortable as we could be,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Well, no, we kept it at 71, and I was supposed to be grateful that it wasn't 72.
Got it.
Yeah. Because narcissists and people in power that like to stay in power, they don't know the word compromise. They feel persecuted, and they feel like they're losing if they have to compromise.
Yeah.
Compromise means meeting in the middle, but that's a loss for them.
Right.
And Christianity cannot give up a single goddamn corner of the fucking board.
No, definitely not.
They don't want to share.
So, anyway, I felt compelled to talk about this because I think it's relevant.
Fuck ICE.
Fuck ICE.
Fuck Trump.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but if you're a pastor at a church, maybe you deserve to be protested at this point.
Yeah.
And maybe it's worth going to jail. I don't know. But I think that Christianity is some of the problem, for sure.
Oh,
it's a large part of the problem. At least right-leaning Christianity. Mm-hmm. The evangelical side of Christianity.
I believe that church was Southern Baptist.
It was.
Okay,
Yeah.
that tracks.
It was.
That totally tracks.
Yep.
Fuck Southern Baptist. My parents are Southern Baptist.
I think we've rambled on enough about how much everything sucks and everything. So
everything
get out there, find out what is going on in your area to stand up against this tyranny, this bullshit, this crap that's happening in our country, and get out there and tell them no. Tell them don't endanger yourself, don't endanger your loved ones. But, enough is enough. We need to tell them that it's enough.
And if you're not able to attend a rally or a protest, you can always call your senator. It's recommended that you call in the evening or weekend so you can leave a voicemail.
There you go.
And then you don't even have to talk to a person if you're like me and that thought terrifies you.
No, if we all do something, then there'll be a lot of somethings.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.